Hello, Petal. How you doing? How are things going? Much apologies for the delay over the past week due to the dreaded vid, but today is brought to you by the power of lots of tea to try and get the throat to work as it should, apart from just coughing and spluttering and all that stuff. Oh, it's been rough. It's been a rough one, but I'm here now and today, so we're going to give it a go, give it our best shot and see what we can do. But yes, as ever, if you can hit the like button, hit the notifications bell, share and subscribe if you want to. Otherwise than that, I'll just keep doing these instant premieres for you. Premiere, or something like that. So yes, I'll do my best with my voice. As you can hear, it's still a bit rotten, but the thing is, we love the story. We love the story, we love the book, we love the writer, so we're going to keep going. And I don't like falling behind so much, so we're going to do our very best. Yes, we are. So don't forget to let me know how you do in the comment section. I'll have a little bit more of a whiffle with you after the chapter, but let's get doing this thing. Yo! Faust Among Equals by the amazing, the wonderful, the fantastic Mr. Tom Holt, chapter the 14th. Slowly, with infinite pains and an almost superhuman patience, Kurt Lundqvist made his way across the main room. Sorry, we must now call it the drawing room of the hideout, towards the corner with the loose floorboard. They train you for this sort of thing at ninja school, of course, crossing a dark and unfamiliar room full of hideously lethal booby traps without waking the guards. The orthodox technique is to use the scabbard of your sword as a sort of blind man's white stick. Untold generations of Japanese silent killers have succeeded with it, or if they failed, they never came to report back. And anyway, the Japanese are a very conservative people. Lundqvist believed in progress, and he had no scabbard, so he used the snapped-off aerial of the clock radio he'd received as a free gift for spending more than 15,000 Australian dollars on soft furnishings with a leading Melbourne furniture warehouse. It was tricky going, and his hand was starting to shake. God damn it, the place was an absolute fucking minefield. Because when you buy furniture, you buy surfaces, and every major league homemaker worth her velour crowds each surface with enough breakable ornaments to fill a ceramics museum. Narrator's note, I really cannot buy too many ornaments. I love a cosy home. I have a very bohemian aesthetic myself, but I've also got cats. And there's only so much blue tack. And dusting ornaments is a real pain in the backside, but the thing is, we all have nice little knick-knack-a-noos and all that sort of thing, and ornaments can be awesome, but there's a limit. Just ornaments on all surfaces, especially when it's like an objet d'art of like a kind of, it looks like somebody's just got a bit of clay and yeeted it against the wall, pulled it back again, put it in a kiln and go, haha, look at this, how creative this is. No, books are an exception. You're allowed to have 1,000,001 books to like kind of decorate your house with, and they're really good for insulation. But still, objet d'art can do one. I digress. I've lost my place now. Right, okay, here we go. There we go. One false move, and the air would be full of needle-sharp porcelain splinters, higher velocity and more deadly than the latest generation of anti-personnel fragmentation mines, and, of course, unlocatable with a metal detector. However, narrator's note again, you'll locate it with your foot, sure enough, if you wear bare feet around the house. I digress. Back to the book. Ding! The tip of the aerial tapped against something cold, hard, and musical. Probably the big blue potpourri bowl. Lundqvist froze, then reached forward with the aerial, glacier slow and gentle as the softest breeze. Ding! Yes. Right. At least he knew where the bugger was. He'd been worrying about that ever since he'd millimetered his way around the standard lamp. Thump. The sound of metal on walnut. Bookshelves. The end wall. He flicked gingerly and tapped against the spine of big, glossy coffee table books. Modern interior design. The house is a home, 3,000 lounges in full colour and other similar titles. It was nearly there, and nothing dislodged or smashed. Ninjas. Fuck ninjas. By this time, even the best of those black pyjama loons would have fallen over the footstool and be picking Wedgwood shrapnel out of his windpipe. Delicate probing with the aerial and the fingertips located the corner of the wall, which meant that the rest would be sheer dead reckoning. The loose floorboard, under which he'd stashed the short band radio and the spare Glock about 30 seconds before the carpet squad had turned the place into a deep palkinning zone, was at the point of a right angle 70 centimetres out from the corner. Lundqvist opened his big Gerber Tac-2 lock knife, paused and listened. He had no reason to believe that Helen wasn't still sleeping soundly. But in this game, you don't last long if you confine yourself to a mere existential evidence. You have to reach out and feel for the mind of the assailant, the guard, the sentry. You have to taste sleep in the air. He recognised it. The less than absolute stillness, which means that the other person in this house isn't standing motionless behind you with a whacking great knife. He started to cut the carpet. Now, the Gerber is state-of-the-art, the nearest thing to Luke Skywalker's lightsaber ever made, but there are some materials that even Death Scythe snags on, and really expensive carpeting is one of them. As he sawed, Lundqvist could feel the exquisitely honed edge of the blade being wiped away, like spilt coffee on formica. His hand found the floorboard, tilted it and burrowed until the tip of his index finger made contact with cold, smooth plastic. Gently, quietly, he drew the package out, slit it open, and felt the radio.
"Lynx," he hissed. "Lynx, can you hear me? For Christ's sake, Lynx, this is no time for goddamn screwing around. Oh, God, sorry, Mrs. Jotapian. Is Lynx there, please? Lynx, your son. Yes, sorry, Jerome. Thank you."
"Hi,"
crackled a voice, sounding like a PA system in an echo chamber in the quiet of the drawing room.
"Lynx Jotapian here. Who's this?"
"It's Lundqvist, you bastard, and keep your voice down."
Lucky George isn't the only one who has friends, you see. Admittedly, since crazy mean Bernard was dragged out of a blazing chopper somewhere in Nicaragua and vanished from the face of the earth, Lundqvist only has one friend, who happens to be 16 years old and short-sighted, but it evens the score just a little bit, like, say, a single hair cast onto the balance.
"Hi, you Mr. Lundqvist,"
Lynx yelled happily.
"How you doing? Oh, you're on a job right now."
"Yes?"
Lundqvist closed his eyes and tried to find a little scrap of patience he'd overlooked previously, clinging with limpet-like tenacity to the bottom of the jar.
"That's right, Lynx. That's why I want you to keep your stinking voice down, okay?"
"Sure thing, Mr. Lundqvist. Can you tell me about it? Or is it a secret?"
Not for the first time. Lundqvist found himself asking why, in God's name, he'd allowed himself to take on a skinny, mush-brained adolescent as an apprentice. The answer was the same as always. Teenage males being fundamentally weirder than the lorry load of stoned ghosts, sooner or later you'll find one who's prepared to hero worship anybody, even Kurt Lundqvist. In Jerome Jotapian, 5'11", of virtually unfleshed bone and hideously besitted complexion from Pittsburgh, Lundqvist had found his Robin the Boy wonder. And in this life, you've got to do the best with what you can get. So when a middle-aged hitman gets a fan letter from out of the blue, "Dear Mr. Lundqvist, you don't know me. I'm 16 years old and live in Pittsburgh, PA. I really admired your last assassination. And can you help me get into this line of work? I expect to get satisfactory grades in math and English literature, and I have my own throwing knife." He finds it hard to resist writing back.
"I'll finish the correspondence course stuff you sent me, by the way,"
burbled Lynx.
It was good. You want me to read you a bit of it now? How about the question about what plastic explosive you'd use to blow up a Roman Catholic cardinal in a small Latin American republic? I thought a lot about that, Mr. Lundquist. And finally, I figured Semtex because...
Not now, Lynx.
Okay, boy. Actually, Semtex isn't the answer I finally said, but you'll see when you read what...
Lynx.
Lundqvist drew a deep breath.
I need your help.
Damn, Mr. Lundquist. Really? You mean really help? In a job?
Yes.
Lundqvist's face was twisted into a hideous mask of self-contempt.
Yes, Lynx. And it's very important. I'm in a bit of a jam and I need you to get me out. Look, I want you to hijack me an airliner.
Wow!
The boy's whoop of joy seemed to fill the room and large parts of the surrounding outback.
I know how to do that. It's the part you sent me the week before last. Only I think that's in with the stuff Mom made me put down in the basement last week. You want to hold while I see if I can find it?
No, Lynx. Just stay where you are and keep your mouth shut for a minute.
Lundqvist stopped and herded his struggling thoughts. Talking to the boy for more than 15 minutes was like trying to gather up a ream of A4 paper in a force 9 gale.
You get the plane, right? Nothing fancy, just something with enough legs to get to Australia and back. You take the thing to Australia, which is where I am now. You dump it out in the desert somewhere. You get a chopper. You come in. You get me out of here and we split. Now, do you think you can manage that?
There was a short pause.
I think it's so, Mr. Lundquist. You better tell me where you are.
Lundqvist told him.
That's a long way away, Mr. Lundquist. Do you think we can do this so I'll still be back by 11:30? Mom doesn't like me being out after 11:30, you see, and,
You leave Mom to me.
Lundqvist interrupted.
You just get the plane and hurry before that crazy bitch spends every last cent I own.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Lundquist.
Just do it. Okay?
A glider careened through the night air like a giant owl. The side door slid open and 3 parachutes blossomed like inbred magnolias, drifted through the blackness and slowly folded onto the ground.
Where then are we?
Inquired the first spectral warrior. He was wearing a Hawaiian shirt and brightly coloured knee-length shorts and carrying a suitcase. The captain nodded and pulled the brim of his huge straw hat down over his eyes.
Oh, yes, he muttered. We're here, all right.
Great, said the first spectral warrior.
Can you let us in on the surprise yet? I mean, yes, I know it's a surprise work sound to make up to us for having to go after Lundqvist and all that, but...
The other spectral warrior looked around him and felt the desert sand between his toes. He sighed happily.
Who cares, he observed, just so long as we're at the seaside. Doesn't really matter where, does it?
Exactly, said the captain. Right, we'd better be making a move before it starts getting light.
Number 2 looked at him.
Getting light,
he said.
Spoil the surprise, said the captain quickly. Now then, the hotel is this way. Follow me and, keep the noise down.
So as not to wake the other guests, you mean?
Something like that.
In the darkness, some way in front of them, they could just make out the outline of a long, low building, something like a cross between a garage and a cowshed, only bigger.
This is a hotel.
Yes, and keep your voice down, will you? They're very fussy about... Here, Skip. Yes? Look at all these empty packing cases. Like the sort of thing furniture comes in.
An unpleasant thought crossed number 2's mind.
Hey, Skip. You're sure this hotel's actually finished? I mean, you hear stories. People turning up. Hotel still being built.
The captain made a noise in the back of his throat.
It's not exactly a hotel, chaps, he observed in a small voice. It's not quite that sort of holiday. It's not. No.
How do you mean, Skip?
It's more...
The captain paused, choosing his words with care.
More a sort of, well, adventure holiday, really.
As he spoke, he unbuttoned his jacket, drew out a .44 Super Red Hawk, and from sheer force of habit spun the cylinder.
Cool,
said number 2.
It's one of those paintball things, isn't it? Where you run around with paint guns pretending to shoot people. I always wanted to try one of them.
The captain breathed out through his snores.
Great stuff, Keith, he said. Now it's your chance.
Doesn't look like a paint gun to me, Skip.
That's all you know.
Yes, but Skip, those paint guns, they're much bigger and bulkier than real guns, and that looks like a real gun to me, don't you think?
Yeah, well...
The captain grinned nervously.
We want to win, don't we? OK, Skip, if you put it that way. I do, Vern. Break the window. I'll cover you.
What with, Skip?
What do you mean, what with?
I've got a blanket in my luggage, Skip, if you want to use that to stop the glass from the window. That's what you mean, isn't it?
Shut up.
Lynx Jotapian had one quality that made him stand out from the crowd. Well, 2, but there was still a reasonable chance that he'd grow out of one of them. The other, the useful one, was a quite disproportionate quantity of beginner's luck. The first time he did anything, he did it well. The next time, maybe not so hot, maybe even a complete and utter disaster, but the first time, no problem. Fortunately for all involved, this was the first time he'd ever flown a helicopter.
Depress joystick, he read aloud, mumbling slightly because of the torch grip between his teeth, while simultaneously engaging left rudder flap.
He stared hard at the control panel for a moment. Why didn't they just write the names of the various controls on the panel? You'd think they'd do that. There were so many little knobs and levers. He sighed and leafed back through the instruction manual to the diagram at the end.
OK, he said aloud. A third from the left, just down from the cigarette lighter.
He tried it, and it worked. The helicopter stopped in mid-air and hung there. He turned to the index. Lamps, fog, adjustment of, page 17. Lamps, head, adjustment of, page 18. Replacement of bulbs, page 36. Landing, procedure, page 47. Holding the stick steady with one hand, he leafed through the manual with the other. 43, 44, 45, 46, and page 47 was missing. Or at least, it was there, in part, but there had been a coupon.
Why not enter our grand Spot the Rotorblade competition and win the holiday of a lifetime?
On page 48, which some previous reader had clipped out and sent off. All that was left of the paragraph on landing procedure was the headline.
Nuts,
said Lynx, annoyed. He'd just have to work it out from first principles. Lundqvist froze, one leg over the windowsill, and put his hand in front of his eyes.
"Is that you, Lynx?"
he shouted, but his voice was drowned by the roar of the whirring blades and the rush of the downdraft. Blinking furiously in the glare of the chopper's landing lights, he threw out his rucksack and prepared to follow it.
"Freeze!"
He turned towards the voice and saw a dark shape silhouetted against the glare of the lights. The barrel of a large-caliber revolver flashed as it swung up on target.
"Hey, Skip! Skip!"
"I said be quiet. OK, nice and steady."
"But, Skip, it's him, Lundqvist. Let's get out of here. Skip, the bastard's obviously following us."
"Look, for the last time, will you shut up? You, Lundqvist, nice and easy, throw down your..."
Hey, Skip. Lundqvist could hear the anger in the voice above the scream of the blades.
You knew, didn't you? You bleeding well set us up. Yes, fine, later. Just now I'm busy, okay? Throw down your weapons, nice, and...
The helicopter landed. Now, there's beginner's luck and beginner's luck. In this case, it consisted of Lynx being very, very lucky indeed to be thrown clear of the chopper before it hit the deck and blew up. A quick status check told Lundqvist that he was being hurled violently through the air by a shockwave of hot air. That was all right by him. He'd been there before. He knew exactly how to roll with it when he landed. The good part about it was, once he landed, he'd be back on even terms, and being on even terms was, in his experience, a very unfair advantage in his favour. By contrast, the captain of Spectral Warriors came round from a moment of temporary unconsciousness to find himself sprawled full length, still holding the revolver, on a green satin Chesterfield. Further investigation revealed a large piece of corrugated iron between him and the cushions of the sofa, the result of his having entered the house via the roof. "Will you get off that sofa immediately?" said a cold, hard voice behind him. "Look, you're getting blood all over it. Have you any idea how hard it is getting blood off satin?" The second spectral warrior, for his part, came to rest halfway through a solid pine door, his head on one side, the rest of him on the other. He wriggled, tried to free himself. "Oh, shit," he said, and stopped, dumbfounded. "Hey, Skip! Skip!" he yelled. "Hey, Skip, you know what? The fool! He must have done something to me. It's cured my speech impediment. Listen, I can say a season everything." His colleague, lodged high in the shuttered rafters, sighed wearily.
"That's because you're dead, idiot," he explained.
"Oh, hey, what a bummer. First time in my life I can speak properly and I'm dead. You sure I'm dead, Keith?"
"Believe me."
"And that's what's cured my..."
"Dead men don't lisp, old son. Well-known fact. Don't worry about it, though. They just reincarnate us back into new bodies. Any new... old bodies," he added bitterly. "I know. I've been there."
"You have?"
"Sure."
He indicated his own body, or rather, what was left of it.
"You think I chose this?" he complained. "Arms like bloody coat hangers, but do they listen?"
By now Lundqvist had landed. He opened his eyes and assessed the situation.
"Help,"
he said. There was a scuffling noise down below. "Is that you, Mr. Lundqvist?"
"Yeah. Lynx?"
"Right here, Mr. Lundqvist."
"Marvellous. Help me out of this tree, will you?"
"Tree?"
"Yes. This tree here."
"The thorn tree, you mean?"
"That's the one, Lynx. Try hurrying, will you?"
"Coming right up, Mr. Lundqvist." Lynx got up in, scrambled to his feet, and looked around. Lesson 3 had been all about using your initiative and improvising material out of unlikely objects found in the vicinity. He found the page and followed the relevant line with his finger. "Under combat conditions," he read, "a makeshift ladder may sometimes be improvised out of a broken segment of helicopter rotor blade, using only a bowie knife and 3 feet of stout cord. Full instructions are given in Lesson 12. Narrator's note." Right, I say Bowie, as in David Bowie, right? But then again, it could be Bowie, as in, I don't know. Which is it? Answers in the comment section would be very much appreciated. So is it Bowie, as in B-O-H, we, as in W-E-E, or is it Bowie, as in David Bowie, or was he even Bowie? I don't know. I don't know which one it is. It could be Bowie, if you want to. I don't know if you want to go phonetics. I never learned to read that way. But I digress. Mr. Lundqvist?
"Yes?"
You still there, Mr. Lundqvist?
"Reckon so, Lynx."
Do you think I'm ready for lesson 12 yet? Only I remember what you said about not taking the lessons out of sequence because each one led naturally on from the previous and rules were made to be broken. Links, right. Listen carefully. Right. Fade out on Lundqvist. Caught two seagulls. Black, drifting shapes against a velvet sky, circling before coming in down on the glide and pitching on the remains of the roof. Anybody home? Helen of Troy stopped and looked up. She'd been rubbing at the cushions of the Chesterfield, trying to get the blood out with half a lemon steeped in vinegar. Larry? We're on the roof. Do you need rescuing? Helen considered for a moment. Not rescuing, no. I could use a little help in here, though. Coming in. As a seagull dropped down through the hole in the roof, the captain of Spectral Warriors woke up. He had been sleeping peacefully ever since Helen had bashed him on the head with a copy of Mrs. Beeton's Everyday Cookery.
All right,
he said, staggering to his feet and levelling the Red Hawk.
Nobody move, or I'll...
The barrel of the gun became suddenly very heavy, its weight augmented by a perching seagull. By the time it accidentally went off, it was pointed directly at the captain's left foot. Oh, my God! The carpet! Helen wailed. Look, for pity's sake, just get out of my way before you damage anything else.
But...
Out! The captain wilted. It wasn't, he decided, one of his good days. Slowly and painfully, he hobbled out of the room and through the front door, and was therefore just in time to be directly under the thorn tree when Lynx Jotapian's makeshift ladder broke. You all right, Mr. Lundqvist?
Sure, Lynx, I think something broke my fall. You knew, didn't you, Skip? You knew all along, and you pretended. Look, I had no choice. They threatened me.
I trusted him, Keith. When he said it was a holiday, I actually trusted him.
Hey, lads, now come on.
Keith, will you tell your friend that when I get reincarnated, I'm putting in for transfer?
Gee, that was lucky, Mr. Lundqvist. I guess I didn't use enough cord where it said bind together tightly with cord, only it didn't say exactly how much cord to use, and... Never mind.
Lundqvist pulled himself up to his feet, looked around, and saw Helen framed in the doorway.
Come on, he hissed. Let's get out of here before she has the whole goddamn place done out in rose damask.
Narrator's note. My decorating nightmare is actually magnolia paint. What about you? I digress. 2 or 3 hours later, Lucky George came by with the transit to pick them up.
You've been enjoying yourself, haven't you?
He observed. Helen shrugged. So, she said, I like nice furniture and things. You know that, George. Don't you sometimes think it'd be fun if we all had a little place of our own that we could do up and make all nice and...
No.
You could have your own little study, she said wistfully, for all your books and magic stuff and things, and we could...
No.
Oh, Helen clicked her tongue. Never mind, she said. It was only a thought.
Good.
Anyway, she said, producing a lighter and a can of paraffin, I think Lundqvist has gone off the kidnapping idea. Curious, she went on, splashing paraffin all about the place. How anyone could be so dozy.
You missed a bit.
Did I? Oh, yes, I mean, kidnapping me after the last time and all.
George nodded. All brains and no intelligence, he said. Can I do the setting a light? You know how I love setting light to soft furnishings.
Helen smiled fondly. Go on, then. Only, George, the labels all said fire retardant and specially treated for your safety and peace of mind. Do you think they'll...
George grinned. If I say so, he replied.
So we managed to get through chapter 14. Whoop, whoop. The thing is, right, I absolutely love it, as you know. It's so nice, and I do enjoy them very, very much. And I know I'm slacking a bit, but I am doing my very, very best
So we have got chapter 15 and 16 this week, I hope. Chapter 17 is a beast of a chapter, so as is chapter 18, so they might have to be 2 sessions for those ones. But of course we could always just do a read along if you would like to do one. Of course that depends on if the vid still lingers this week. Of course I do have it on top of an existing long vid, and some other stuff going on. So we're just going to see how this week goes. We'll run with it. We've got a couple of shorter chapters next, so we'll have to get those out of the way first, and then consider what we do with this big long chapter and everything. Anyway, so the whiffling, I must apologise, there has been quite a lot today throughout the chapter, but sometimes it just happens that way. Let me know how you're doing. I hope you're doing okay. I hope everything's going well. If you've got a dad joke for me, that is awesome. If you want to just put in a little orange heart into the comment section, that would also be awesome. Let me know you're listening. Leave a comment if you want to. Don't leave a comment if you don't want to. But have an awesome day, please. Have an awesome week. If I don't speak to you again this week, I mean, you know how it goes. That sounded really dark, didn't it? If I don't speak to you again, rah rah rah. I didn't mean it that way. But yes, still a lot going on. Hopefully everything will settle down and balance out. I'm really looking forward to that. And yes, all is good, all is gravy. And I need a nap. Me took that on me. But yes, let me know how you are. I've completely forgotten what I've said, and I can't go back and listen to it all over again. So we'll do our best. Big love. Take it easy. Take care. Sleep well if you need to. Drink lots of water. Hydrate. Keep warm. Keep cool. Yeah. And we've made it to just over half an hour. I am so proud of myself. So, big love to you. Take it easy. Take care. Petal. Ming mong, ming mong. Ming mong, ming mong. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, ba-dong. Talk to you soon.